Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be doing a part 2 of our fall harvest because my last video I didn't get to cover it all because there's just so much stuff coming in and more stuff to come in. So we're going to get to it and I'll show you what I have here. I laid a few things out so I wouldn't forget to talk about some of this stuff. So I did mention the tomatillos in the last video, but I wanted to show you right here. Here are some of the lighter color ones. These are the ones that are really tasty to eat just plain, just fresh, right out and raw right off the plant, because they just have a nice sweet flavor that's almost similar to a ground cherry, though not quite as sweet. And I just got done cutting up and freezing a whole bunch of them. I had some coming in that were like this big, and like I said before, I've got most of my jars used up, my canning jars, and so I just can't really can anymore. So I just cut up a whole bunch and put them in a big old freezer Ziploc bag so that I can just use those next time I want to make a big batch of sauce, particularly an Italian sauce. I can use those. I did throw in some of my tomatoes because I am still getting a few random tomatoes. This one isn't quite ripe, but when I see them like this, I right away pick them and bring them in so they can finish ripening in the house, because I never know when that real hard freeze is going to come to the point that it freezes everything, even in the greenhouse, and that's where these are. Only the tomatoes in the greenhouse are really producing right now, other than some cherry tomatoes I planted out front that I really don't like. Just like with the purple ones, or the blue ones, the blueberry cherry tomatoes, those ones were so beautiful and so prolific when I grew them last year, but the flavor was just, me personally, and I know other people felt the same way, did not care for them, so that's why I didn't grow them again. Even though for a cherry tomato they were the best ones as far as really growing and maturing and getting a lot of them. Anyway, so moving on, I picked just a small, again, so I could show you. This is just a small flower from my amaranth. I have a lot of amaranth growing. Well, not tons, but I have quite a bit. And the flowers are actually, most of them are just big long ropes that are 2-3 feet long. I'll put a picture right here so you can see how they look. Now I'll be, most of them I'm leaving on there. The leaves are starting to turn, but I'm leaving them so that they can continue to finish out, and then I'll have some nice amaranth seed. This year, I didn't do it last year because I ended up just selling a lot of my amaranth seed, but I probably won't do that this year. This year I plan on saving the seed and using it in my flour as an addition. I won't have enough to just bake a whole something out of the flour alone, I don't think, but at least to mix it in with my wheat flour and just to supplement it and add some more goodness to it. And then the leaves, some of the big nice looking leaves I've been harvesting and drying, and those are going to go on my mixed greens blend that I'll be doing a video of pretty soon, so it might even be the next video you see come out, but maybe not. Right here, some of you have been following me on Facebook or the community page, or even on my Patreon. I've been getting active on the Patreon again. Again, for those of you who don't know, I do have Patreon. I tend to forget about it sometimes, but it is actually open to everyone. I do not have any special posts, where you have to pay to be able to see anything. Anybody can see it. You have the option to donate, but you don't have to. It's just another place for me to post my stuff. So I'm going to start posting more there because I do have a few patrons there that I really appreciate, and I'm sorry for those of you who have been donating to that, and then I keep forgetting to keep up on it. So I'm making that more of a priority than Instagram, because Instagram's a little more tough for me. Anyway, so my grapes are coming in, and I'm getting lots. I have a picture right here showing this basket. That's just one basket. This is what I picked so far. I'm guessing I might have, I know for sure I have enough to fill up that basket clear to the top at least one more time, possibly two, because you start digging around in there. I mean, those grapevines are thick. I mean, I had to really work to keep them somewhat pruned back so we could walk in and out. And here's some pictures you can see from the deck side and then also from the garden side, and it was getting so thick. I just had to prune back what I could just so we could at least walk through there, but didn't want to over prune because I've heard it said that you don't want to cut away too many of the leaves because it prevents the grapes from getting sweet. And that was some of the problems we've had for the last couple of years. So this time we didn't have raccoon problems. We were able to leave them on there long enough to get through the first couple of light frosts, and that's when they started getting on their sweetness. So these are just really, really good. Oh, and the smell is amazing. The aroma, I'm just crazy about these. I will be making some wine out of this, though don't expect to see me do a wine making video off the grapes anytime soon, because I'm still new to working with a fresh fruit like this and making wine from this. Now, I made wine for years, but it was a honey wine, or mead as it's also known, so I'm well experienced at doing honey wine, and I probably will do a video on that because that's the one I feel more comfortable in showing and teaching people how to do it. It's very simple, but working with grapes is a little bit more of an involved process, and I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible because I'm not about making a wine to sell or, you know, even a real high alcohol content, because my wine is not for drinking, it's for cooking and baking, using in pasta water to add some flavor to the noodles, and for making my own homemade extracts. It's just another way I can do that more sustainably. And I do have a video on that I just did. I'll go ahead and link to that right up here. Calendula. Calendula is still, even though it's slowing down, I'm still getting quite a bit of calendula, which is great. That's one of the things I absolutely love about calendula, is that it has such a long producing period. It will keep flowering clear up until it snows, if you get snow. Or here, like, we didn't get any snow last year, but it flowered probably clear up through November, and then it finally died back. But I had one plant that actually never fully died back. It didn't keep blooming through the hardest part of winter, but it never fully died back, and it was my first to start blooming because, well, it was already well established. Even though we think of calendula as mostly being an annual, it can be perennial. It's going to depend on how harsh your winters are. So right here, I wanted to show you, I'll probably talk about this again in an upcoming This and That video. You know, I made some calendula vinegar. I'll go ahead and link to that right up here, and it turned out amazing. I will talk about that some more in my This and That video. But in the halfway point of the process, it had just such an amazing smell, and I tasted it, and the flavor was wonderful. So what I have going on here is not a vinegar. This is, and that's why I don't have a cloth over it, but I also don't have a real tight fitting lid because I want it to be able to release some of the gases without getting too much oxygen exposure. And this is a Calendula Soda, so I'm making a natural soda using my fermentation starter and the calendula. And I will do an update on that in the next video that I do, and then show you how I'm making the Calendula Soda and tell you what I think about it when that's all done. Now, another thing are the marshmallow roots. Now, this is just small. I did pull up a whole marshmallow plant the other day simply because my neighbor gave me a real healthy currant stalk that I planted, and I needed a place to put it. And I had to pull up one of my smaller marshmallows because it was right where I thought was the perfect spot for the currant. So it's here's a picture of the root right here. It's not massive like the one we dug up in the early spring, and I know won't be near the size of the one we're going to dig up really soon. So I've got more marshmallow coming. I'll probably have more videos on that coming out. But anyway, so I'll be doing a lot of dehydrating of the marshmallow root so I can have plenty for making my various tinctures and teas and extracts and stuff like that, because marshmallow root just has so many great medicinal properties. And so do the leaves. I use the leaves and the flowers quite a bit. The leaves are what I use in making the homemade skin cream. And then I put this little bag right here because this is the seed bag for my glass gem corn, which is getting close. It's getting close. It's not ready yet, but it'll be one of the last things that we harvest, just waiting for it to finish out. And some of it will grind into meal, and then some of it I'll be saving for seed for planting next year. I plan on planting a lot more next year. It'll depend on how these ears of corn turn out this year, if they turn out better and healthier looking than last year's. Last year's was pretty good. They were healthy, but they were small. I'm going to see if these ones are going to be a little bit bigger, and if I'm happy with that, I'm going to plant it again, and I'm going to plant twice as much because I really loved it as a cornmeal. So, you know, I talked about that in a previous video, and we also did a video of grinding the glass gem corn into a meal, and I'm very pleased with it, and I would love to do more of that, of my growing from my own corn. Even if it's supposed to be a good popcorn. We tried popping and it didn't really do really great, but as a corn meal it was really wonderful. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about were my apples. We finally got the last of the apples off the tree and filled 2 more baskets full, and I think I didn't keep track of how many baskets I filled because I was picking a basket at a time and then processing them and then going out and picking another basket, you know, and a week later, and then processing them. And that's why I really like these apples, because they can stay on the tree for a really long time. They're a great pie apple. I think they're a Gravenstein or something very closely related, but really nice apples we got this year. It's so wonderful, sweet and tart at the same time. That's why they're great for pies, great for making applesauce and apple butter, all that kind of stuff, and dehydrating. They are, for us personally, the perfect apple to have on hand, and really happy with my produce. I think I might have got, I know I got at least 5 baskets full, maybe 6, and it's not a monstrous tree, but it's probably the best harvest we've ever had off that tree, both in quantity and in quality of the apples, so I'm so thrilled. And one of the things I've been doing with my apple tree for the past several years is I grow peppermint around the base of it, and I think that's one of the things that's really helped it, because ants don't like peppermint, and the ants bringing the aphids onto the apple tree has been one of the things that's kind of really decreased our apple production in previous years, and I noticed that's really made a difference on our apples. So there's an idea for you. If you have issues with ants and aphids around your fruit trees, grow some peppermint around them, or other types of mints that the bugs do not like. I'm sure there's other plants. I'm sure catnip is another great one for that, because I know catnip can be a good repellent for certain bugs like mosquitoes and stuff. So something to consider. And one thing I almost forgot is rutabaga. I did grow a small amount of rutabaga. I didn't plant a lot this year. I was trying to get more beets, but I really need to focus more on rutabaga. Rutabaga grows much better for us than beets, and I really like it. It's a versatile vegetable because it has such a mild flavor. It's not as strong as a turnip. It's actually mild enough that you can mix it in with mashed potatoes and not really even notice it's there. So you can make, let's say you go half and half, and so you're not getting quite so much of the carbohydrates. You're getting this good vegetable in there too. And I've tried that before. It worked really good. Or even just chopped them up and mixed them in with potatoes as a fried potato, and that worked really good too. So I'm going to focus more on growing more rutabagas from now on, because I've been happy with them, and they do so much better for us than beets. And these aren't massive, I know, but again, I only planted a few of them this year just to get some and see how well they would do again for me this year. But yep, I think I may just not worry too much about the beets, because they just don't do as good for us. Rutabaga it is. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of my fall harvest for 2018, and I also hope you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.